This is Enhancing the Human Experience, episode 45. This episode is sponsored by my books, The Magic of Being, Book 1 and Book 2, available now in the Amazon store in Kindle or 6x6 paperback. You know, I want to give a huge shout out to all of you parents out there. You are my heroes. I am in awe every day seeing how much you do, running around, raising your kids, giving them the right nutrition, the right thoughts, and I want to help you out. These books impart what I feel is really the foundational wisdom and concept for enhancing human experience. And they're based on helping children understand the power of their self-image and learn how to develop it at a young age. You know, self-image is absolutely vital. This is the same type of stuff Maxwell Maltz talked about in his book, Psycho-Cybernetics. This is the stuff Neville Goddard talks about. This notion that being, our state of being, is the foundation for everything we ever do, all the actions we take, and all the results we take in life. So I wrote these books to help your child go further than we have, to make more strides, to create more, to be more, do more, and have more. And you can check them out in the Amazon Kindle store. All right, let's get into the show. Okay, this episode is all about feeling and knowing, how knowing really does trump feeling. You know, in the game of life, we all know the success formula: thoughts create feelings, feelings create actions, actions create results. That's very common, we know that. But the other day, the actual inspiration for this podcast came from Gary Vaynerchuk. And of course, Gary Vaynerchuk is the guy creates so much valuable content. I've learned so much from him. And in one of his podcasts or one of his YouTube videos, I can't keep it all straight anymore because he's just creating so much goodness out there for us. But he said something that really struck me, and it ties in nicely with the theme of this show and the underlying principle that when we change ourselves and when we develop our consciousness and our activity and our personal concept, right, our self-concept, we're going to take different actions and we're going to be able to create the results we want in life. Change begins within. Better experiences begin within. And so as I was listening to his podcast, he said something that was really profound, and I want to share it with you on this show and tell you why I wanted to build the show around it. He said, he was being interviewed by someone, and he said that even at a young age, and I quote, he said he knew he was going to be all-time great, that he knew it. Now, only Gary Vaynerchuk can say something like that because he inspires, he's very inspiring just because of the level of confidence that he has in himself, which is something that we all need in our own life, right? That's why he is so magnetic. That's why he has so many followers, because he's showing people what it means to shine at a high level, to have such confidence in yourself and have such an ability to put yourself out there that you can go so far, right? We unfortunately, most of us are caught in this notion that we're very concerned with what other people think about us. We are social creatures. We are very concerned about the judgment and the ideas others hold about us, which ultimately ends up holding ourselves back, right? All of us want to shine. We're built to shine. The soul is eternal, and it is always trying to push out of the self-imposed boundaries we've created for ourselves in our minds. And so when Gary Vaynerchuk says something like that, it's really, really struck me. And it got me thinking, feeling is, I want to call it one of the pinnacles of creating success. You have to feel successful. You have to feel from the place that you want to be. Whatever situation or circumstance, you have to feel like you're already there. We know this. Wayne Dyer talked about it. Neville Goddard talks about it. All manifestation gurus talk about it. Joseph Murphy talks about it, where his inverse law of transformation said that if the event that you want, the circumstance you want, will produce a feeling, then that feeling in turn will produce that circumstance. And he talks about the example of a young pharmacist wanting his own store. And envisioning how he would feel if people said to him, congratulating him on having his own pharmacy and congratulating him on his success, and getting into the feeling state of realizing his goal, of his goal having become a reality. And that feeling state then produced that reality. It's the inverse law of transformation. So we do know that feeling is huge, but there is something that trumps feeling, and it trumps it big time. And that is exactly what Gary Vaynerchuk is talking about. Knowing. Feeling is downstream from knowing. If our thoughts produce our feelings, and our feelings produce our actions, and actions in turn produce the results, what comes before thought, right? Well, you could say beliefs come before thought, but also knowing. Knowing comes before thought, and knowing is then going to have a cascade effect on all of your thoughts and your actions and your feelings, and then your results ultimately. And so when he said that, I was just really struck by that, because that's what we all have to do to create the success we want in life. And I'm going to challenge you at the end of this podcast with a question that I want you to think about over the next, days and weeks, and maybe even put it up on your bathroom mirror or into your personal development rituals, your morning rituals, because I think it's very profound and it ties in with what he talked about. But just always keep in mind that there is a foundation. This is where we get the famous statement, be still and know. There's no doubt, there's no questioning, there's no anxiety, and that knowing comes from the deepest part of ourselves, doesn't it? It comes from our soul knowledge. I've talked about this in other podcasts where we have to be very careful not to put too much credence in what our mind is telling us or what our thoughts are telling us, because the mind is fickle, the mind is prone to not get it right. Humanity is a case study in listening to the mind, getting it wrong, and course correcting. And it happens over and over and over again. But the people who get it right are the people that are in touch with their soul wisdom, with their inner being, their higher self, that knowledge that resides in them that actually does know, right? That has all the wisdom that they've ever accumulated in any incarnation or in any sense of knowledge that is in the cosmic scheme of things, right? This is the deep root of knowledge that yogis have, that saints have, that people who have touched the boundlessness inside of ourselves. That's the deep knowing that we're talking about here. So it's very powerful, and that's what we need to connect with. Be still and know. Absolutely huge to creating success in life, because when you know, you're going to know what you need to do. See, I find that that's one of the biggest stumbling blocks in creating success. I know that it has been in my life. If I allow myself to think in my mind, well, what should I do? What should I do? How should I do it? On and on and on, and ruminate on that. Of course, that becomes analysis or paralysis by analysis, doesn't it? So we know what happens then. And that's what I'm talking about. When you're too much in your head, when you're too much in your thinking mind, then it can actually shut you down from creating the success that you want in life. And so be still and know what is the thing that you're here to do, that your life is about, that your natural gifts and talents help you do or design you to do or were meant for you to do. So that is what I feel is hugely valuable. And it transcends feeling, it transcends thinking, it's knowing. Be still and know. So I hope that's been helpful. And here is the question that I want you to put on your bathroom mirror and think about over the next days and or weeks. What do you know about yourself that will help you achieve the massive success and prosperity that you want in your life? What do you know that you have maybe allowed yourself to forget or not listen to or not take action on? What do you know in your deepest part of your soul that will allow you to create the success that is waiting for you in your life? So that's it. That's the show. I hope that's been very helpful. And until next time, I wish you all the best, health, wealth, and success. Bye-bye.